A compliment is a social transaction, and for a lot of people, it feels less like a gift and more like a bill you have to pay immediately. By the end of this, you'll understand the precise psychological reason a simple phrase like "good job" can feel like a threat. This response is a quiet algorithm running in the background of your life, and it's filtering your reality every single day. Imagine someone hands you a small, ornate box. It's a gift, but the moment you take it, you feel its weight. Now you owe them a box of equal or greater value. That's the first layer of compliment deflection, the theory of social debt. When someone says, "That was a brilliant presentation," your brain's internal accountant opens a ledger. A debt has been created. To clear it, you might fire back a compliment of your own, hoping to rebalance the scales. Or you might downplay the achievement. "Oh, it was nothing." That's an attempt to mark down the value of the gift so the debt feels smaller. This pressure is real. The praise sets a new performance baseline. If today's presentation was brilliant, tomorrow's has to be too. The compliment becomes a contract for future performance that you feel you never agreed to sign. You'd rather get a quiet nod of approval, a simple acknowledgement. The big compliment feels like a spotlight, and spotlights come with expectations. You can feel the weight of those future expectations settle onto your shoulders. It's a subtle but persistent anxiety, a low hum of pressure. So you deflect, you push it away to avoid the unspoken obligation it carries. This explains the awkwardness, the immediate urge to get rid of the praise. But the feeling of social debt is just the wrapping paper on the problem. The real reason you deflect is far more personal, and it has to do with the story you've been telling yourself for years. What the compliment truly threatens is the coherence of that story. Your brain craves a stable, predictable narrative about who you are. This is your self-concept. It's the collection of beliefs you hold about your own character, your abilities, and your worth. For many, that internal story is a modest one, filled with detailed accounts of flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. It's a comfortable, well-worn coat. It might be a little tight, a bit shabby, but it's familiar. Then, someone offers you a compliment. You're incredibly talented at this. Suddenly, a foreign piece of data has been introduced. This new data directly contradicts your internal story. The compliment says, "You are exceptional." Your internal story says, "I am average, a struggler, a work in progress." This creates a state of intense mental discomfort known as cognitive dissonance. Your mind is now holding two conflicting ideas at once, and it desperately wants to resolve the tension. It has two options. Option one is to update your entire self-concept. This would involve a massive internal reorganization, questioning years of accumulated evidence, and rewriting the fundamental story of who you are. This is hard, slow, and metabolically expensive work for the brain. Option two is much simpler. Reject the new data. If you deflect the compliment, the contradiction vanishes. The dissonance is resolved. Your internal story remains intact, stable, and predictable. So when you say, "Oh, anyone could have done it," you are actively protecting your worldview. It's your brain's immune system identifying a piece of foreign information and neutralizing it before it can infect the host. The stability of your self-concept, even a negative one, feels safer than the chaos of reevaluation. Preserving the familiar story is the brain's default priority. Your deflection is a homeostatic mechanism for the ego. It's keeping everything in balance. But why is that negative story so fiercely protected in the first place? The origin of that defense is rooted in an even deeper fear about being seen. That carefully constructed, slightly negative self-image is a form of camouflage. It's a way to manage expectations and fly under the radar. The core fear for someone who deflects compliments is the fear of being truly seen, because being seen leads to being judged. This is the engine of the imposter phenomenon. The person genuinely believes they are a fraud, and the compliment feels like an accusation of their success. It's a spotlight swinging in their direction, and their deepest instinct is to duck before it settles on them. Imagine you're on a stage, but you think you're in the audience. You're just sitting there, quietly observing, When a spotlight hits you, everyone turns to look. Someone in the crowd shouts, "Incredible performance!" But you weren't performing, you were just there. To accept a compliment is to agree that you were in fact on stage. It's accepting the role of a performer. And once you do that, you know what comes next. Scrutiny. The audience will lean in, they'll look closer. And then, you fear, they will see the fraud. They'll see you're just a regular person who somehow ended up on stage. They'll see you don't belong. The applause will turn to confused murmuring. Your deflection is an attempt to turn the spotlight off. Oh, the lighting technician deserves all the credit. It was a team effort, really. This old thing? I got it on sale. Each of these phrases is a desperate attempt to point the beam of light somewhere else. Anywhere else. It's a way of saying, I am not the person you were looking for. You have the wrong person. The praise feels like the opening question in an interrogation you feel completely unprepared for. Your deflection is you pleading the fifth. This explains the panic, the desperate need to redirect attention. And yet, for some, the reaction is even stronger. It's an automatic, hardwired rule they cannot break. A rule that says all positive feedback must be destroyed on sight. The human mind is fundamentally motivated to maintain a consistent view of itself. This is the core of self-verification theory. We actively seek out and pay more attention to information that confirms what we already believe about ourselves. This is true even if our self-beliefs are painfully negative. We want the world to see us the way we see ourselves. It makes the universe feel predictable, understandable, and safe. A study by psychologist William Swan powerfully demonstrated this. He assessed participants for their self-views, whether positive or negative. Then, he had them interact with two other people. One evaluator gave them positive feedback, confirming their strengths. The other gave them negative feedback, confirming their weaknesses. After the interaction, participants were asked which of the two evaluators they would prefer to interact with again. People with a positive self-concept overwhelmingly chose the person who praised them. That makes sense. But the people with a negative self-concept chose the opposite. They consistently chose to re-engage with the person who criticized them. They chose the evaluator who confirmed their flaws. They chose the pain of criticism over the discomfort of praise. Why would anyone do this? Because to them, the person offering praise seems delusional, unreliable, naive. You can't trust their judgment because their perception of you is so wildly different from your own reality. The person who sees your flaws, however, seems perceptive. They see the real you. Their view of the world aligns with yours. They feel safe because they are predictable. You know where you stand with them. This is the grim internal logic of low self-worth. If you think I'm great, you're either lying or you're a fool. If you see my faults, I can trust you. Accepting a compliment from someone feels like agreeing with a person whose judgment you fundamentally distrust. It feels like endorsing a lie, so you reject it. You have to. It's a matter of maintaining your grip on what feels like reality. This is the deep, psychological machinery driving the deflection. And this machine produces a few very specific tactical outputs. The way a person deflects a compliment is a strategy, and these strategies are not created equal. The most common is a simple downgrade. Someone says, "You saved the project." You reply, "It was just a small fix, really." This minimizes the scale of the achievement, reducing the social debt and turning down the brightness of the spotlight. It's a gentle pushback. Another common tactic is the credit transfer. Your report was amazing. You reply, "Honestly, Maria's data was the key. She did all the hard work." This redirects the praise entirely, shifting the spotlight onto someone else. It works. The attention is off you, and you can retreat back into the shadows, safe from scrutiny. But there's a third category of deflection, a much more aggressive and damaging one. It's the reversal. This is when you meet a compliment with its direct opposite. Someone says, "You look really nice today." You reply, "Are you kidding? I feel disgusting. My hair is a mess and I barely slept." Or someone says, "That was a great dinner." You say, "It was awful. The chicken was dry and I completely forgot the salt." This strategy does more than just deflect the praise. It booby-traps the entire interaction. The person who gave the compliment is now in an impossible position. They were trying to offer a gift, and you've handed them back a problem. Now, they are forced to comfort you. They have to backpedal, reassure you, and argue against your self-criticism. No, it was delicious, really. I didn't notice at all. The reversal punishes the act of giving praise. It teaches the people around you that complimenting you is a high-risk, low-reward activity. Over time, they learn. They stop trying. They stop offering positive feedback because it's emotionally exhausting. The person who uses the reversal tactic ends up creating a social environment that perfectly matches their negative self-view. They are starved of praise because they have systematically trained their friends, family, and colleagues to withhold it. It's a tragic, self-fulfilling prophecy. The internal belief, "I am not worthy of praise," creates a world where praise is never offered. The evidence seems to be everywhere, and this continuous feedback loop does something profound to the architecture of the brain itself. Every time you deflect a compliment, you are practicing a skill. You are rehearsing a specific cognitive habit, the active dismissal of positive personal data. Do this for 10, 20, or 30 years, and you become an Olympic-level expert at it. The process becomes automatic, unconscious. You build a sophisticated filtering system in your own mind. This system is designed with one purpose: to maintain the integrity of your negative self-concept. Imagine it like a bouncer standing at the door of your consciousness. When a piece of negative information arrives, a criticism, a mistake, a memory of failure, the bouncer waves it right through. "Yep, you belong here. Come on in." That piece of data is allowed to enter, find a seat, and integrate itself with all the other negative data. But when a piece of positive information arrives, a compliment, a success, a moment of pride, the bouncer steps in front of the door. He checks the ID. You're not on the list. You don't match the decor. You don't belong here. The compliment is blocked at the door. It's denied entry. It never gets a chance to integrate with your sense of self. This is why you can receive 5 compliments and 1 minor criticism in a day, and by nightfall, the only thing you can remember is the criticism. It's the only piece of information that was allowed inside. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what you've trained it to do. It is seeking and amplifying evidence that confirms your existing beliefs while systematically ignoring and discrediting any evidence that contradicts them. Your reality isn't just something you perceive, it's something you curate. Accepting a compliment, then, is a small act of rebellion. It's a conscious choice to override the filter. When you feel that wave of discomfort, that urge to deflect, what you're feeling is the friction of the machine you've built. The gears are grinding, the programming is fighting back. To simply say thank you and nothing more is to let that piece of foreign data pass the bouncer. It feels awkward, it feels vulnerable, it feels like a lie. It feels that way because it is an insurgency against a long-established inner regime. The discomfort isn't a sign that the compliment is untrue, it's the sound of a pattern breaking. It is the feeling of your worldview shifting just 1 degree on its axis.